Hi there, everybody, and welcome to Roll with Advantage. My name is Joe, and welcome to another edition of the Inkarnate Speed Creation videos. Yes, woo! So we have another one here. This one is my map of a region in the Salamander Coast in the nation of Bella Clara by the name of the Old Kingdom. The Old Kingdom used to be the seat of Bella Clara, or the seat of power in Bella Clara, before the greedy plutocracy took over and deemed that a king and queen was no longer the best way to run things. No. The good way to run things is to let the people who have the money run things. You can interpret that how you will. So, one of the big things about the Old Kingdom is it is a densely populated area with a lot of rivers, a lot of forestry, and a lot of farms. So you can see right here, the Old Kingdom, the Old Kingdom connects to a place called the Giant's Step Lake. Reason that it's called that is because there's this massive lake in the center of Bella Clara that looks like a footprint almost when you look at it elevated above the city that rests in that bridge area. So it leads into that area. That's where all kind of the rivers flow to. And this is kind of our basic thing we got going on here. You can tell that I was trying to decide if I hated it or not. And that's why anytime that there's vast pauses, it's because I'm like, does that look like trash or am I okay? And then eventually I'm like, well, I kind of hate it, but let's keep going and see if I change my mind. So there are a few different cities in the Old Kingdom. There is Richka, Periton, Meister, and Vesna. Whew, man, I got it. There we go. We're good. I know my own city names. Duh. So that is what's going on here, is we have all these cities, and we have this densely populated with forests and rivers and farmlands. I wanted to add some hills, too. One of the things that I like to do when I make maps is I like to try and add hills or other rocky structures that would give a reason as to why rivers bend the way that they do. I understand that my rivers aren't going to be like 100% realistic, and I'm okay with that. It's a fantasy game. They can be a little silly. But one of the things I like to do is to give them a little bit more realism is just adding little hills every once in a while, or mountains or whatever, and have the rivers move around those where I've already put my rivers. It just makes it seem like it's actually following some type of flow. And there's the cities. But one of the things I was doing here is I was like, well, I know the keep's here. What else is going on here? This was supposed to be the capital of the nation forever ago. So what I decided to do is I decided to bring the mountains out a little bit. And in a second, I'm going to add some cities and buildings to the inside there to make it seem like this massive citadel and structure. Here's another thing. I was like, okay, well, yeah, these are all the ideas that I had. What am I going to do now? Like, this is all the map needed for the campaign that I'm running. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do now. Okay, I guess I'm going to add road lines. That makes sense. There you go, yep. And then I realized, I was like, oh, shit, I've got a bridge there that I never really explained in-game. So now I have this issue where I'm like, oh, fuck, what do I do? And so what I decided to do was I was like, bridge is dangerous. There are people at that bridge, bad people. The clans nearby, they came down from the mountains and now they live in this area. And this is where a lot of them stay and they interact with each other. And yeah, so you can't go that way. That way's too dangerous. Even as a level 9 party, you die. You know, of course not cutting them off entirely, where like it's still an option if they decide to disguise themselves, do whatever, yada, yada, yada. But saves me some time because I made the map and I was like, well, I like the map that I have so far. I don't want to have to start over, redo that. I don't want to, make that delete the bridge because of course it would be there. It only makes sense. So somebody took over the bridge, and then who knows, the party might have to go at a different time when they have a retinue of soldiers with them to take it back. Okay, so yeah, something I started doing with the pastel colors parchment map one of the things I started doing is I started like coloring in the little icons a little bit. I don't know. I like it. It adds some color to it. I like it a lot, dude. Man. Here you go. This is what I was talking about earlier, where I had some little icons. And I'm like, that's a little spicy. I like that a lot. Yeah, you know, honestly, there's some times where I am making these, like where I'm narrating myself as I'm making it in real time over the course of I think this one took 2 hours to make. It's sped up by about 1,000%, a little bit more. But sometimes when I'm doing it, like as I'm narrating, I don't know, my brain works in a funny way. So sometimes when I'm making it, I'm like, yes, you know what I should do? I should narrate myself while I make this. But not normal narration. Like I narrate myself like it's like I'm making a Bob Ross painting. And I'll be like, all right here, everybody. Here's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to start to, we're going to make a little label here. Now, I love little labels. I think that they are just the best thing about maps. It's very nice because you can give your players very valuable information that, well, they wouldn't get otherwise. And this is all a game about helping people. And, well, at least my games are. Suppose you can do whatever you want in yours, but at least in mine, it's about helping people and saving the world. So, every once in a while, I like to do a little bit of something to help the players out. You can see here I was trying to figure out the best way to do the waterfall, but I decided that maybe simpler is better. Add a little bit of color there, and make the illusion of something. But there we go, there we have it. This is the map for the most part. Now, there is something that and I do that, you know, I just narrate as Bob Ross. And one thing that I found that I do a lot is whenever trouble, well, like my cat, if you don't know, whenever trouble comes up around me and is like sniffing around me or whatever, I'll like, as if I'm introducing, if you've ever watched the Bob Ross painting, he like introduces the animals that he has on the show with him sometimes. And I could be like, all right, everybody, this is Trouble. Now, Trouble is one of my best friends, and, well, I like to consider him a son, as silly as that may sound. I love this little kitty so much, and it's so stupid. I love it, though. It helps the mind-numbing process of map making seem a little bit easier. Not nearly as mind-numbing. Okay. So, anyway, back to the map. The tangent aside, one of the things that I did here is I made farms, and I couldn't figure out a good way to make them in Inkarnate with the parchment style. So what I did is I took the new city battle map style, not battle map, but the new watercolor city, and I turned the opacity down a little bit. So if you zoom in, you can see that it's farm, but otherwise it still kind of has that parchment texture that most of their things have. This is a lore thing that I'm doing here. All around the Old Kingdom, there are these jutting stone pillars that are coming out of the ground that the party knows a little bit about. They know that the pillars are all the same material, and they're all connected, kind of like how a tree is connected via its roots, right? And there are multiple plants or systems that are connected to it. All of these rocks are connected to each other underneath the ground. Party still has no idea what it means. And if you'd like to know, make sure you're following the Adventures of the Salamander Coast. Boom, thingy in the corner. Boom. Yeah. Heck yeah. Check that out. Or don't. I mean, do what you want. Your time's valuable. I respect that. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, I started messing up a little bit. I was trying to figure out a good way to get the farmlands and the hills to cooperate with one another. But I was just struggling a little bit. Let's see. I think that maybe that's what I settled with down there. I added a little bit of white. That area is just like covered in snow. Oh, I added a little bit of texture here, just that way it looked a little bit more rough. I turned the opacity down. One thing I'd recommend is that if you're trying to create a specific effect of some kind, but you don't want it to be super aggressive, mess around with opacity and softness of the brush. Like if you want hard ridges lines, turn the softness down, but you only want it to be faint traces of it. Make sure you have the opacity low as well, right? The lower the opacity, the more see-through it is, the more transparent it is. So having the opacity at like 50 is great. Last thing is, like I said, I like to color them in. I think it's fun. And this is it. This is the map. Let's get a slow scroll of it. Ooh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Who is she? Oh, my goodness. What are you wearing? Who are you wearing this evening? Isn't she beautiful? Yeah. Well, there you go. There's the video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to download the map yourself, you can access it on Inkarnate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.